Hey, what's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good morning, grand rising, whatever your vibe is. We are painting today. I am Barbados Black. Hope everything is going well. We are going to do a brand new painting today. I wanted to do a painting. I had an art show a few weeks ago, and I'm still putting the vlog together. So you'll see the vlog pretty soon. But right now, we are going to get into one of the paintings I did. This painting is called Water Me, and I'm going to show you the size in just a second. Okay, so this is the painting. This is, I believe, a 14 by 14. I want to try some smaller paintings to try to finish these out, and I actually been liking how all of these came out. All the ones at the art show did really well, and everyone liked them, so I can't wait for you guys to see them. I'm going to show you the process for this one in just a second. It actually didn't take too long, and I actually really got a lot of compliments on this one. Let me see if you can see it. Probably not because my focus is on and it's focusing on me. So I'll just show you the painting in a second. We'll get started on the process, but I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you shortly. Bye. So for this one, I really wanted to get started off with the background. Sometimes I'll tan the canvas, or sometimes I'll keep the canvas completely blank and I'll just actually sketch out what I want to do first. But with this one, I actually wanted to start off with some paint ideas. I wanted to start off with a gradient to kind of give myself a feeling and a vibe and an atmosphere for this painting. So as you've seen, I started off with a really deep violet color, and then I went in with like a titanium white, and then I just layered that into the to the canvas, and I mixed those together on the palette brush to get this gradient. I started off with the darkest purples at the top and then just added more white and more of the violet, and just mostly more white to really lighten it up to get closer to the, I would say, the horizon line of the painting where I would want your eye to focus. And then for the beige part that I wanted to do, you just see me show you, I did a bit of a brown, a bit of a yellow, and a white to create this beige color. And I went in, instead of just using a regular like brown, I wanted to mix all of those colors together to obtain a beige to give it a bit more of realism. I was thinking about having like a stormy atmosphere, like the purple representing the sky and as well as the gray, but kind of the gray being the storm part and the other purple kind of being like the midnight sky, almost kind of like that focal point of that. So right now we're getting started on the flat part of the island. I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be like a floating island or like a chunk of just the earth, but I wanted to have it be almost like an uprooted plant. But rather than it be a plant, it would actually be a woman acting as if the plant were the tree. That's why I said water me, with the water hands that'll be holding it, as you see in the beginning. So right now we're just going in with various tones of browns and grays and a little bit of blue to try to create those 3D layers. And then I went in with a little bit of a bright white and lightened up some of those colors to create some of those tones, because I feel like in order to get those full 3D effect, you need those really dark darks, but then you also need those really punchy highlights to really go in there and beef up that 3D effect, especially when you're working with paint. Um, this particular paint layer is well over itself, but it's not necessarily translucent. It's very opaque. At least the way I use it, it tends to be opaque. So I have to really go in and then create those other tones to go on top of those colors to do that here. Just like here, I'm going in with the really light blue to create the base for the water, and you'll see me going in and doing the flat for the hands and the waterfall on the island. And I really like how I started to create this water. It really looked like water to me. I like using this brush and this certain flick that I was able to create. And then I actually ended up going in with a lighter color, a little bit of white and a little bit of that same lighter blue. But as you can see, that light blue right there, and then that really added so much to the highlights and the overall design and outline of creating the water effect. So moving right off of the details, we're adding a lot of bit of white and a lot of that really, really light blue color to create those highlights and those pops to really create that water effect. And then I like to create a uniform feeling in a lot of my paintings and artwork. If you look at costume design, for example, like Marvel, you'll see a lot of their times they'll use a lot of the same colors over again to create cohesion and a cohesive concept. And a lot of times I like to do the same thing. I actually learned a lot of that stuff because I used to read a lot of, not comic books, but I would buy a lot of manga books even when I didn't read manga. My mom had bought me some of those books, and then I also started buying a lot of those books, and then I would just study them. And a lot of the colors, they tend to have repeating elements, repeating colors. So I try to bring those colors together in my paintings, to really create that full cohesive moment. And if you look at one of the other paintings I did, like the very first painting video I have, you'll see I have a turquoise tongue. But if you look at the background, it kind of feels in place with the rest of the painting, just because those colors all blend together and they're all quite cohesive. So just try to reuse colors where you can in the painting, it's kind of an easy hack to kind of create a real cohesive look. Now, I particularly look at painting as a journey and not necessarily you start where you end. Right here is where I realized I made the skin tone a bit too light for the highlights. I was trying one of the techniques I did before where I went in with the darkest dark and then I would go in with like the next shade up, the next shade up. But a lot of times I prefer to just block things in as you've been seeing and then build those layers up. I just like to do flats and then go on top of that and build up those layers and tones that way. And I feel like when I try to do it that way, I think I just misjudged the color, but I wasn't too upset with it. I think what I really like about this is that I kept going and then I just blended a new color and just went over it and then I just remade the color. I've gotten to a place with painting where I feel like I understand you may not get the colors right the first time and that's okay. You just go back, make another color, let that layer dry or dry that layer yourself and then go back over it with the color you do want and then you tend to have a very good final end result. Like I said, a lot of people tend to really like this painting. A lot of people gave me compliments on this one when I actually got to display this one. So it was actually pretty works. Like I said, so it worked out. So do not get hung up on when you mess anything up. Just keep going. You can always fix it with painting. You could just literally paint over that part. It might take a little bit more time, but the time that you add into it tends to add extra depth anyway. So I honestly feel like it's a win-win situation. And just like before, we'll go back in with the fine brush and we'll just add those shading and then we'll also add the highlights and we'll try to keep everything from the same viewpoint. We'll try to keep the highlights and the shading all coming from the same light source. So consider which way the light is coming from. Right now I feel like I have the light coming from slightly from the left and above. So that side of the face tends to be lit a bit more. And so for me to create that 3D focus, and I would like to really do the stylistic look. I really had to then push all of the lighting towards that side and then heavily shade the other side. I feel like it's just the easier way for me personally, or my style, and the way that I've kind of learned to do it to make it have that 3D effect and still create that cartoon look. I feel like the mind's eye just reads that pretty easily for me. And with this color for the gold of the for the jewelry, I just went in with a normal like a not a yellow but like a yellow ochre and a little bit of like a golden type of color and then I mixed in browns and greens to get those undertones because I didn't actually want to just use raw brown. I like to have a little bit more variation in the color. And do not be afraid to mix and match sets when you're working on paints. I have found myself using sets from different things that I bought from Amazon, from Michaels, from Blick Arts, from just wherever I can, and I blend those paints together and I just bring them all together. I love mixed media and I feel like everything works together to create a piece. It really adds texture and just adds feeling. So don't be afraid if you don't have exactly one set or one color of something. Just reach for what you do have and then put that in there and use it. That's what I did for a lot of this green. I had some greens in the very first color palette I had, and I said I want to use some of these greens with some of the art loft paints that I had, and so I mixed those together to create these colors, and I really do like how it came out. So don't be afraid to blend different things together. And all of these brushes that I'm using right now, like these blue brushes, I got from Amazon. I think they were like maybe like $1, but they've been helping me out a lot with these, like this layering, like the way that they get. I think it's more so about how you use the brush and not necessarily the amount of the brush or what that brush cost. I think it's more so about how you use it and painting with these acrylics are really showing me that and being able to create those shapes and that I'm used to using a pencil for. Being able to do that with a brush is a bit different for me. I've used brush pens and I like to do brush pens, but when you have different brushes and brush sizes and brush nibs, it's very different and there's a lot of different degrees, so you have to really keep practicing to really get used to using those. And the one most important tip that I could not stress enough is to layer. I wish I would have layered the skin a bit more when I look at it overall because I like how it came out, but I think there's just some parts that I could have gone back over and just layered. So for future paintings, I will definitely be layering the skin at least twice. Another thing I like about painting is you really don't have to be afraid to add white if you really want to. Like for this one, I really wanted that cartoon style and vibe. And if you look at a lot of my digital paintings, I always have like a really bright like lens flare in my paintings. And so I wanted to bring some of that here just for that type of effect and I really like how it came out. Right now, I started to use a Posca pen, and for me, Posca pens, I like them, but what tends to happen is when I try to varnish my painting, they tend not to dry all the way, so I haven't mastered how I want to use those with these paintings. And it actually happened a little bit with this one, and I just went in and fixed it. I just grabbed a paper towel and then waited till it dried, and then went back over the white highlights. But I do like how it came out with the Posca pen. I just have to figure out a way for me to use them, or if I'm just going to have to use these paints with just the regular black, or excuse me, with regular paint to just do outlines with a darker version of that color. So if you guys have any tips for Posca pens and how to varnish with them, let me know, because I haven't really had any success trying it yet. So, and I'd like to use the Posca pens. So let me know. But we are just about finished with this one, so rounding it out, we just added some last highlights to really create some ambient occlusion on the hair to really make sure that we caught that sunset vibe here. And then here's the last bit of the painting. Okay, and that was everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm Barbados Black. We'll have more paintings very soon. I promise I'm going to edit the rest of these videos and get this art vlog out to you guys and the art show video to you. I just haven't had to get everything together with a new computer and get everything set up. But here's the painting. It is always looking for a home. So if you want this painting, DM me. Follow me on Instagram at Barbados_6Black and tag me to any paintings that you make while you were watching, anything you were drawing. Let's create together and maybe we can all have a little bit of a community. Again, I'm Barbados Black and I hope to see you guys everywhere pretty soon. See you.